Good afternoon, everyone present over here for the webinar. Right. Myself, Inake Chokshi, Head of Synergy Department, Parul Institute of Engineering Technology, Diploma Studies. Welcome you all for the auspicious day of Earth Day. Earth Day 2021 theme is Restore Our Earth and focuses on restoring global ecosystems through natural means. Under the guidance of our principal, ma'am, Dr. Ruchi Srivastav, we have celebrated this day with two events. First event is the competition of leadership, competition of photograph of nature with slogan or with caption with the technical event cell, Parvin University, and we have inaugurated it recently at 12 o'clock now. Now you all are welcoming for the webinar of two experts. We have two experts with us, Dr. Ruchi Srivastav, Principal, Panel of Diploma Studies, and Dr. Sanskruti Majmundar, Institute of Climate Change, MS University, and Assistant Professor of Faculty of Engineering Technology, MS University. I welcome you, both of you, ma'am. Thank you for sparing your time. Welcome you. Now, our first speaker is Ms. Dr. Ruchi Srivastav. Let me introduce herself. I'm very pleased to introduce Ms. Dr. Ruchi Srivastav. That she is our principal of Parul Institute of Diploma Studies since 2013. She has 21, more than 20 years of experience of teaching in degree colleges, and also she is presently working as principal of our institute. She has done his Master of Engineering in Civil Engineering from the Civil MS University, and her just finished her PhD from Gujarat Technological University. She has published three books and published more than 15 international papers and 24 national papers in different conferences. She has won Best Paper Presentation at National Conference on Innovative and Emerging Technologies at SR Patel Engineering College, Unza. She has been appointed as the President of Women Development Cell of our Parul University since year 2015 till date. She is appointed as coordinator of Central Assessment Center of Parul University also. Ma'am was awarded by Gujarat Technological University during 6th Innovation Council Day for Pedagogical Innovation Award for Outstanding Contribution in Innovation in the February 2017. Gujarat Technology University during National Technology Day celebration felicitated Palu Institute of Engineering Technology Diploma Studies for outstanding efforts for organizing student project innovation IDP UDP exhibitions for the year 2016 and 17. Under ma'am's leadership, the engineering college received two awards, IICT and CII Survey Awards for two departments, Mechanical Department and Civil Engineering Department in the year of 2014 and 15. Under her leadership, uh, uh, college has received Environmental Excellence Award in 2014 and also received an award on the hand of Honorable Government of Gujarat for arranging and motivating thalassemia screening camps by Indian Red Cross Society, Gujarat, in the year of 2014. Under her leadership principal, the engineering college received an award from the hands of Mr. Yusuf Pathan for arranging maximum blood donation camp by Jalaram Blood Bank Society, Gujarat, India. So today, ma'am, with us for sharing her knowledge and experience with our students and faculty members and all the webinars. So, ma'am, I welcome you on my heart. Thank you. Welcome, ma'am.
Rina ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, very warm good afternoon to one and all. And before starting my presentation, let me thank the Department of Civil Engineering for organizing Earth Day. because it is very, very essential that we should try to bring awareness amongst the young generation towards the nature, love towards nature, because we have seen the calamities that have been taking place since last so many years, right? So the main purpose of today's celebration is only to try to just bring a small amount of love in all the students who are our future bright citizens, the love for the nature, right? Now, basically, Earth Day is celebrated every year on April 22nd, and it is the anniversary of the birth of the modern environmental movement in 1970, as it gave a voice to an emerging public consciousness about the state of planet. A very small quote I remember, that Earth is the only planet to have life, to save the Earth. Without Earth, no one will take birth. If you destroy the Earth, you destroy the chance of life. Save Earth to continue living here. So this year, basically, the theme of Earth Day celebration is Restore Our Earth. And it is mainly focusing on three main parameters, that is natural process, emerging green technologies, and innovative thinking that can restore the world ecosystem. So basically, what I'm going to cover today is that I have taken 2 or 3 case studies so that you can easily understand how we can restore our earth, how we can protect our earth, our biodiversity, our ecosystem, right? So basically, we all are aware about the Mother Earth, which is highly worth. So we have to plant trees, make the garden, and prove that you care for Mother Earth. This is a very small and little effort that we can make to bring our Mother Earth totally free from the pollution. We all are aware that there are many natural disasters that have taken place. If I want to quote, in the last before 2 months, we had a disaster of flood in Uttarakhand. Before that, we had in Kedana, and now and on we are hearing about the earthquakes, right? And these all disasters are trying to spoil the nature, the ecosystem, the flora, the fauna of our earth. So, what I want to make you understand is that our single effort can also change this particular event. So I have taken one case study on the natural process, that is a person called as Jadav Pain. सबने सुना होगा जादव पेन. He's conferred, उनको मिली है renowned degree as the forest man of India. Let me share his experience. Basically, there was a small island which is called as the small island which is called as Izaki, which is in the Coimbatore, and it was Majuli, the world's largest river island, which was flooded. हम सब हमेशा न्यूज पे जनरली रेनी सीजन में सुनते हैं कि ब्रह्मपुत्र रिवर ओवरफ्लो हो गई है, राइट? So on the same day, we observed that the Brahmaputra river had overflooded, and the island on which this particular Jadav sir was staying, he was just a 12-year-old boy. And after the flood effects, what he observed, that the island was slowly and gradually deteriorating at an accelerated pace. Another thing that he saw was that there were so many dead snakes lying on the sandbar in the heat. And once the water dried up, so he thought कि ये तो snakes है, but अगर इनकी जगह पे humans होते तो कितना ज़्यादा loss होता. So what he decided, that I should do something for my island which I love. I want to preserve it. So what he did is he asked to the neighboring villagers, आसपास में जितने भी villagers थे, उनसे उन्होंने सलाह ली कि मुझे क्या करना चाहिए, what should I do? So one of the villagers said that try to plant a bamboo tree. So in the year 1979 उन्होंने बैम्बू ट्री 25 बैम्बू ट्रीज उनको दी गए थे. तो 25 बैम्बू ट्रीज और कुछ.
एक्सक्यूज मी मैम. मैम
Yes.
आपका प्रेजेंटेशन नहीं है.
Is it seen?
नो मैम.
Okay. Now is it visible, madam?
यस मैम. यस.
Okay, thank you. So basically, I was talking about the case study on the natural process, and I was talking about Jadhav Payne, India's forest man. And he was at the age of 12 when he realized I have to do something for my Mother Earth. And for that, when he saw that the island was, flooded by Brahmaputra river, and the island was being acceleratedly eroded at an space, then what he thought that he should try to do something for the island, and he started planting bamboo trees. Why bamboo trees? Because bamboo trees can withstand any harsh condition, and he was given 25 saplings and some seeds too. Okay, so now that particular 25 bamboo trees have been converted into 550 hectare of land of forest. And you won't believe that there are 120 species of bird, including migratory ones, and the elephants, rhinos, and tigers that visit this particular natural forest created single-handedly by Mr. Jadhav. So, friends, I just want to bring a small instinct in all of you that if we cannot create a forest, definitely we can plant a tree. Definitely we can teach our children to love nature, and the rest will be taken care. Okay. So this is another one case study. Another case study that I have taken is of Baroda itself. Basically, there is a club called as Rotary Club of Baroda Greens, or Rotary Clubs of Baroda Greens had taken guidance from the Vadodara Mahanagar Seva. And what we observed that there was one site near the what we call it as new VIP road, and that particular site, सारा जो आसपास के एरिया का जो waste था, that was being dumped over there, right? So we used to have a foul smell and total garbage. अब उसको क्लीन करने के लिए उसको हमने सोचा कि अर्बन फॉरेस्ट में कन्वर्ट करते हैं. आई एम ऑल्सो अ मेंबर ऑफ Rotary Clubs of Baroda Green, where we are basically trying to make aware about the environment, the ecosystem, the flora and the fauna. So what we decided that this site can be easily converted into a forest, urban forest, and therefore we approached Vadodara Municipal Seva Sadan, and then the waste was totally being removed, and the soil was then mixed with some additional nutrients, and then it was made fertile. Then we had brought 50 species of various saplings of amla, mango, then parichat, and another 50 species, and one particular technology which is called as Miyawaki. That technology is the Japanese technology that we had adopted. Now, in this particular technology, what is important is that the soil is being mixed with some nutrients, and then a grid plantation is there. Grid plantation means हम randomly plantation नहीं करते हैं, 1 meter by 1 meter का square बनाते हैं, और उसमें ही हम पूरा fertilization and nutrients डालते हैं, so that the soil बहुत strong, highly nutrient हो जाती है. And 3 months के within, you can find that the saplings reach to a height of 2 feet or 3 feet. So you can see that this was the site where we had taken this particular project, and then you can see that the saplings have started going. And this project we had done on 14th Feb 2021, and you can see that it has the fourth figure shows that the saplings have grown to this particular 2 feet height, and it will by within a year you will try to see, when you move from that particular space, a very vast and dense forest. Okay, so this is the example of our Vadodara itself. The site name is Rajiv Nagar Sewage Treatment Plant. और अगर जो बड़ौदा में रहते हैं उन्होंने देखा होगा कि जो न्यू वीआईपी रोड पे जगदीश फरसान का जो है वहाँ के अपोजिट में जो पूरी एरिया है, दैट इज बेसिकली developed by the Baroda Greens for urban forest. Okay. Now, the second theme of this particular Earth Day celebration is emerging green technologies. And for the emerging green technologies or innovative green technologies, it is very important to remember the 7 R's. 7 R's is we have to reduce the pollution, minimize the use of machinery, scraps, and reduction of the waste. We have to reuse it, we have to recycle it, research, refuse, regenerate, and rethink. So these are the 7 R's that we have to consider while we are trying to bring our ecosystem in a good condition. So in this case also, I have taken one case study of green building. Now basically what is a green building? Generally, जब भी हम students जो just study करें, if you talk about green building, so the first thing that comes in our mind for the green building is that the green building means it will be totally green structure surrounded by trees and all those stuff, but it is not like that. Green structure में main important जो हमें ध्यान रखना है, that is the architecture should be green. That means जो ventilation होता है वो maximum we should use of our nature, that is sunlight. Second thing is we have to try to minimize the use of electricity. That means we have to use the solar panels. And the third and the most important thing is we have to reuse the water or the grey water that is being produced in the building in the form of gardens or in the form of flush toilets. So that particular building जिसमें हम ये सारी technology use करते हैं, that particular building is basically a green building. Okay, and the world's first green building, largest green building which was awarded, was Sohrabji Godrej Green Business Center in Hyderabad. And this particular building was inaugurated by President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam in the year 2004. And the same time, it was the world outside the US to be awarded the platinum rating under the LEED rating system. Basically, the LEED rating system is the rating system for the green buildings. We have got platinum rating, we have got silver rating, we have got gold rating, but the best rating is the platinum rating. And this was being conferred to the Sohrabji Godrej Green Business Center. It is the most environmental friendly building for the use of water and energy efficient technology, and recycled material has been built as a unique public or private partnership. So I come back to this particular image. You can see in the first image over here, the important part is that rainwater harvesting system on the roof can collect water to be used to flush water toilets. We have observed that whenever we have got heavy rains, the whole water is run off. It is wasted off. So it is very, very important for us to have rainwater harvesting. And now it has been observed that many of the builders, when they are giving any particular residential building, then they are also now trying to implement the rainwater harvesting system also in that particular project. Okay, so that the rainwater is not being wasted, but it has been productive. Second thing is that we have to try to keep our orientation of the house in such a way that the direct sunlight or the sun energy comes to us, so that we can use the natural resources as our natural ventilation. Okay. The third thing is that the rainwater channelized into water but can be used to water plants or wash cars. Okay. Then, most important, if we have got a residential building, then we have got some garbage from the kitchen. That similarly, we have got some waste from the garden. So we can use that garbage. We can use that waste from the garden in the form of a compost, and that can be again reused as a form of nutrient, as a fertilizer to our garden plants. Okay. Another important thing is we can have wind turbines in the roof that can be used to generate energy. And all these parameters have been implemented in the CII building of Hyderabad, which I'm going to discuss later on. Then we can also have non-toxic paints to be used on the walls, which reduce or petroleum-based solvents, and they do not emit smog-producing pollutants. Right? So these are certain things that are to be taken care when we are trying to construct a green building. And I feel really proud to mention at this platform that one of my students has studied the green building, and he has tried to analyze my particular institute building, and my building comes under the golden seed rating. So friends, I want to say that try to utilize your time in all these things where you can try to learn many things and you can make your surrounding green. So some of the good points that the building has is that the 80% of the material used in this particular building was recycled, including fly ash or waste material coming out of cement and other industries. The second important thing was that the building discharged zero water, as all of its used water is recycled, has a huge capacity for the collection of rainwater. As I told, that it is very important to collect the rainwater, and which can be done through rainwater harvesting, or we can have an artificial pond generated in our nearby area where we can collect the rainwater. The third important thing is our waterless urinal, in which the chemicals are used to store and recycle urine without any odor. At this point, I also want to mention that my final year students of civil engineering are working on this. And in the year 2021, they were awarded with a very innovative idea by Gujarat Technological University, where they are trying to convert the urine in the form of cubes, and it will be odorless, and it will be recycled again in the form of water. The building is also highly energy efficient and uses 55% less energy than a conventional building. The intake of natural lighting is high, and there is no need for the external lighting. There are 2 air conditioning towers. This is very important because as there are 2 air conditioning towers, the climate or the temperature there has been reduced to 7 to 8 degrees by spraying of water. The 60% of the roof of the building is covered by the roof garden, and the balance portion of the roof is covered by solar photovoltaic with 24 kW water capacity. So I have taken out the components from that particular building just to highlight the central courtyard, where you can see the use of rainwater, which has converted into a lush green garden, and we can see the orientation of the building in such a way that the sunlight is harnessing the whole building. The second image that you can see, this is totally a jali or a perforated wall, which brings in the natural light as well as ventilation. The third thing we can see, the whole terrace is covered with the solar panels, which is saving the electricity. Then you can see the blue ceramic chips. They are having decorated pillars, and basically the sunlight will be reflected back, and it will reduce the temperature of the particular building. This is the tower which I was talking about. That is the wind tower, which pre-cools the fresh air entering the air handling units, and the towers are integrated with AHUs, and almost 8 to 10 degree of the temperature reduction is observed in the nearby area. And this is the photovoltaic generate electricity at the Godrej Green Business Center in India. This is the sitting arrangement of the employee, and you can see that there is no uh, tube lights or bulbs being used, and passive daylighting is used over here at task level and above for overall lighting of the Godrej Green Business Center. And north light windows are being designed to bring in the daylight. Over here, the rainwater has been stored in the form of a small pool, and this water is being the temperature is being reduced with the help of the tower, which we are seeing over here. And you can see over here that root zone water treatment facility is also provided with the natural way of treating black and grey water at Godrej Green Business Center. So these are some of the components of the particular building. So this was the case study. Other than that, my students have also worked on innovative thinking, and they have tried to bring gym they have used, where we are using the walker and the cycle. So when we are using the walker and the cycle, energy is being produced. So that particular energy is then converted, and which can be utilized in the form of a solar panel. Another my innovative work done by the students is of smart waste management system, in which they have segregated the waste in the form of dry waste and wet waste, and then a common pipe is being connected, and they are connected to a churner. So the wasting is churned, and then it is easily sucked out, and then it directly taken to a particular land area, and on that particular land area, it is being dumped over there. And on that particular land, we can try to have a small plantation growth over there. So these are some of the innovative projects done by my students. So my students who are listening to this particular webinar, I request that when you are coming in the second year and trying to identify certain industry-defined problems or self-defined problems, try to take the problems in such a way that they are even helpful to the nature, and they are helping in reduction of the pollution, and making our ecosystem more friendly and green. The government has also given some specific campaigns like Trees for Earth, and in the 2010 it was 7.88 billion trees, and in 2021 it has crossed 1.5 lakh billions. Then literacy is very important. It has been observed that though we are educated, but still we are very selfish. We do not go and plant trees. We do not try to reduce the pollution. We do not switch off the lights. बहुत छोटी छोटी सी चीजें हैं जो हमें ध्यान रखनी है. So this literacy is also to be extended. Then we all remember that in 2013, Swachhta Abhiyan was initiated by our Prime Minister, and at that time we had very ifs and buts, but slowly and gradually we have observed that we can see cleanliness in many of the areas. We have maximum say no to the plastic bags. Instead, we have started using the paper bags. We have started avoiding littering the waste everywhere. Okay, so this is very, very important that the government is also focusing on how to have our ecosystem well defined. This is another area where it has to be focused, because 100 species of animals and 45,000 species of plants that flourish in the countries as well as in deserts, they have their home there. And it is a threat to their existence. So it is very, very important to protect our this particular species also. And climate change, we all have heard about global warming, we have all heard about depletion of the layer, we have heard about, not heard, we have felt, we have seen the natural calamities. We have seen that in winter we are having rains, in summer we are having cold season. Why this change in the climate is there? Sanskruti Madam is going to give you in detail everything about it. She is an expert in that. But the main reason behind this is that we are using certain gases, we are using certain chemicals, we are using certain pollutants which have deteriorated the atmospheric layer, and because of which there is a change in our climate, and we are feeling it. So, looking to all these things, it is very, very important that my students who are listening to me, a very small, humble request that you can try to develop, you can try to produce, you can try to instinct a love for plants, for the nature. On every Earth Day, or on World Environment Day, or on your birthday, plant a tree. Take care of that particular tree. You will feel that you are talking to a tree. You will develop a love for it. And slowly and gradually, you will develop a love for all your surroundings. So, your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds. You can grow flowers or you can grow leaves. With this small thought, I thank you all for listening to my small request to love nature, restore your nature, and be with the nature. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Ruchi ma'am, for sharing your knowledge and love towards Earth with our listeners. And with this, I invite Professor Sanskruti Majmundar, ma'am. I would like to introduce Sanskruti, ma'am. Sanskruti, ma'am is the Director of Institute of Climate Change and Research of MS University. She is Director of Office of Alumni Affairs and Donors Relations of MS University and Associate Professor in Civil Engineering Department, Faculty of Technology and Engineering. Ma'am has completed her PhD, ME and BE from MS University in hydraulic structures. She has 21 years of teaching experience and more than 21 years of teaching experience. She has guided 16 students from for ME dissertation, two for PhD, and one student for ME dissertation are in progress. Two other students are in progress of PhD's dissertation registration. Uh, Ma'am has is a member of Technical Advisor Committee of Climate Change Department, Government of Gujarat. She is a recipient of Research Fellowship from Indian Academy of Science, and under which she has worked at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Collaborate for the research program on integrated urban food management under ITRA in collaboration with IISc Bangalore. She has presented over 75 research paper in national and international conferences and journals. She is the first student from the state to get international project for research from CIID for the study of effect of earthquake on water resources of Kutch. She is recipient for award of best paper at Indian Science Congress 2012. Ma'am has received Best Teacher Award from the MS University in the year of 2016. Ma'am has recipients of Urigam Women's Achievers Awards for the years of 2017. Now, I want to invite Sanskruti ma'am. Please share your knowledge to our webinar listeners and our students and faculty members also. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Reena ma'am. And I will also thank my dear friend Ruchi Srivastav. In fact, we had studied together for our bachelor's, and it is a pleasant moment for me to share my information and knowledge on this very important day. Uh, Let me actually start sharing my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
So, before I begin, let me thank Parul University and the Civil Engineering Department at the Parul University for giving me an opportunity to talk on this very important subject, that is climate change, on an equally important day, which is the Earth Day. Okay. Ruchi ma'am has shared that many of us bring about awareness only on specific days, that is Earth Day, Environment Day. Okay, so it is important that we acknowledge what is happening around us and try to do our little bit. Now when we are having a very important theme for this year's Earth Day, that is restore our Earth. We cannot restore it without acknowledging that there is climate change. And when we talk of climate change, most of us think that this is not something which is in my hands, or as an individual, I cannot do anything about climate change. It is up to the government, it is up to the bigger agencies to take care of climate change. And as an individual, I have no role to play into this, or I cannot do anything. So that is the reason why here I have tried to explain human influence on climate change, and then what we as individuals can do for mitigating the climate change action. Sorry, actually, I had some power failure, so I got disconnected.
No problem. No problem.
So I'm not sure actually that on which slide I got disconnected.
And the last one.
Yeah, no issues actually. This was the first slide. That is the title.
Second or third slide.
Yeah. So what I was saying is that on this very important day, that is Earth Day, we cannot ignore climate change. But most of us are not clear between the difference between weather and climate. Now, weather is short term variation in the atmosphere. So, when we say that today it was a pleasant weather, or it is very warm or very chilly, then we are talking of the current situation, that is the small term variation. But when we talk of climate, we are essentially talking about a variation which is over a longer period of time. Okay, so at least 30 years and beyond. That is what we are looking at. So when we talk of weather, the parameters which we take are wind, cloudiness, pressure, temperature, and rainfall, etc. Okay. But when we talk of climate, then what are we saying? It is getting hotter, it is getting colder, it is getting wetter, so on. Now, uh, while Ruchi madam has already emphasized on this aspect, I had put it in my slides. Let me just quickly go into this. So there was one country. This is just one example. People were living very happily, fishing and depending on other activities which were surrounding the sea. Now suddenly, what happens? The sea level begins to rise, and within a century, the whole island country sinks, and along with it sinks all the people, the culture, and the heritage which were dependent on that island. Okay, so of course, there were some people who foresee this in advance and shifted to other countries, but majority of the people living in that country have perished. Now, the country which we are talking about is Maldives. So in 2004, a tsunami actually swallowed two-thirds of the country, and as a result, over 20 islands were permanently erased from the map of the earth. Right? So this is an indication, and many things happening around us, like the recent glacier melting, which we experienced in India. Okay, or also the sea level rise in our coastal cities. So all this is actually an indication of a climate change, of a global warming. Okay, and if our generation, because our generation is the generation which is on sitting on the fence. I mean, if we don't do something right now, then we don't leave a world which is worth living for our future generations. Okay, our previous generations were not aware of what is happening because there was no significant research to support that, no significant media to communicate across the globe the way we have right now, and also their consumption pattern itself was different. So in a way, they were less responsible towards what is happening than our own generation. So we do not want India to be affected, and therefore all of us will have to put collective efforts in mitigating the climate effect. Okay, now most of you must be aware of what is happening when we say in terms of climate change. So ozone layer depletion is something now again which you have studied at school level. Now because of the ozone layer depletion, the ultraviolet rays of the sun come directly to the earth, and therefore the temperature is increased. Now when the temperature increases, then we see other cascading effects of the increase in temperature, like rise in the sea levels, unpredictable weather patterns, increase in the extreme weather events, land degradation, loss of life and biodiversity, etc. Okay, but there are small causes which together, when you complete the collage, work together in creating this effect. Okay, so some of the causes which I can say are rapid industrialization, energy consumption patterns which have increased, the change in the agricultural practices, deforestation, the way we are changing our consumer practices like use of plastics, etc. Okay, way we are changing our transportation patterns, etc. The way we are exploiting our natural resources and the way we are polluting our earth. Okay. So when we look at the impact of climate change, those who are well placed uh, do not actually experience the impact very drastically. But there are hundreds of thousands of people who have been displaced, who have lost their livelihoods, who have been pushed into poverty, hunger, malnutrition, and also exposed to a wide range of diseases due to the pollution, due to the shortage in the food and the water availability at different places because of the impact of climate change. People have to migrate, villages have to shift in many countries. Now, we know some of the causes, that is deforestation, coal mining, burning of fossil fuel, vehicular pollution, misuse of water, and also the pollution of our water bodies. So, I will not elaborate in detail on the causes because we all know what are the causes, and we have been discussing uh, and on many platforms about the causes. So, effectively, if we have to say that is the earth warming, yes it is. So if you look at the temperatures uh, for the last few decades, so starting from 1880 to the current decade, if you look at it, then you can see a very drastic increase in the temperatures of the earth. Okay, and this has resulted in melting of the glaciers, rise in the sea levels, and the oceans getting hotter. Now, what happens when the ocean gets hotter? So, when the oceans get hotter, they expand, become more acidic because they absorb 90% of the extra heat in the climate, and that will contribute to the higher sea levels again. We are also experiencing climate change through other phenomena like droughts, tsunamis, floods or heavy rain events, forest fires, and extreme temperatures. When you look at the effect on change in the rainfall patterns, then we have observed that there are many areas where rainfall patterns have changed drastically. They have reversed. There are areas which were previously known for abundant rainfall but are suddenly registering below average values of rainfall. And there were areas which were known for scarce rainfall. They are now experiencing heavy bouts. Even if we take the case of Gujarat, okay, let us see how Kutch and Saurashtra are experiencing change in the rainfall pattern for the last couple of years. The pattern of rainfall is much different than what it used to be decades ago. Okay, and against that, look at the quantity of rainfall which we are getting in the traditionally known places which were known for abundant rainfall, like South Gujarat. Now, besides the change in the rainfall pattern, we have also heard about the smog effect. We have every year in winter, we see news about Delhi, that is, Delhi is getting smog effect. Okay. Now, what is this? Because of the warmer atmosphere, we have the formation of a ground level ozone, which is also known as smog. This will be experienced especially in the polluted regions. Okay, so that's the reason why we feel the difference very drastically in Delhi, because temperatures also drop over there. uh, Suddenly temperature variation is sudden over there, and it is also a polluted city. But we are not talking of only Delhi, it is not limited to Delhi. We can experience such smog in many cities across the globe. So, if we summarize the climate change impacts for India, and if you look at the vulnerability map for the climate change impact, okay, then green shows the lowest impact, and as you go from the green to the darker shades, the impact goes on increasing. So, we have observed changes in the weather pattern, cyclonic disturbances, sea level rise, change in the agriculture yields also, uh, change in the fresh water supply for various cities, impacts on forests and natural ecosystems, and also, most importantly, impact on our human health. Now, it is said that the annual mean surface temperature is expected to rise from 1.7 degree to 2 degree by the year 2030. Across the globe, countries are trying to reduce this uh, rise or restrict this rise to 1.5 degree. Okay. Now, what happens if that 1 degree or zero point 0.2 degree, 0.02 degree or zero point 0.2 degree variation is restricted? Okay. So, that change will actually reduce the rise in the sea level drastically. Okay. And therefore, every decimal of the degree will also matter over here. Now, uh, we have been talking about the impact of climate change, that is, and this impact is experienced transboundary. So it is not limited to any particular region or any particular city. The entire globe is experiencing this particular effect. Okay. Now, The INCA report has found for India particularly that the average temperature rise of 2 degrees predicted, and extreme ranges at some places would be up to 4 degrees also. In case of annual precipitation, we have lower frequency of rainy days and increased intensity, which we are already experiencing in almost all cities of India as well as many major cities of the globe. In case of cyclonic disturbances, we have lower frequency but increased intensity and increased risk of the surge storm. So every year before monsoon, we experience this cyclonic disturbances, and it has become a regular feature now. The sea level has risen at the rate of 1.3 mm per year on an average, and the availability of the fresh water is going to vary or reduce by 40 to 50%. And at the same time, the risk for floods and droughts has increased from 10 to 30%. So on one side, we are experiencing floods, and on the other side, we are experiencing the shortage of the water. If we talk of the forest and the natural ecosystems, then the production of our crops has reduced. Also, people are shifting, and forests are getting cut. So that has actually given a negative impact on the livelihoods and biodiversity. In terms of human health, there are so many waterborne diseases, vector-borne diseases, and the mortality because of the heat stress as well as the cold waves in some part of the countries. Okay, so all this are the already experienced impact which we have been observing in case of India. So besides that, we have also, I would actually acknowledge the role of press and media for emphasizing or sharing details about climate change everywhere. Now, when we talk about climate change, do we really care of what is happening? Are we really aware of the effects of climate change to each one of us as an individual? Can we really do something about it, or is it just the job of the government, the NGOs, and the academicians who need to worry and try to do something about it? Okay, so unless we accept and acknowledge that all of us are contributing, why would we respond? So let us first understand and then try to see what can be done. So for that, I have taken a case study of Vadodara city over here for you to understand. So let us understand the impact of climate change on temperature and rainfall in a very short period, and then we will see how it is happening. Now, when we talk of temperature rising, okay, it's not just the global temperature which is responsible. I mean, not just ozone layer depletion which is responsible. So there is something which is known as microclimate and macroclimate. So each city has a microclimate. Within the city also there will be sub microclimates, and each city is contributing in a way to the global climate. Okay, so how does that happen? Now, when we change the surface, we are changing albedo. What is albedo? It is the measure of diffusion or reflection of the solar radiation. Okay, so less albedo means more absorption of the heat. Now, when we change our land use pattern from forest and change it to agriculture, okay, because that is the way it happens. That is, first we start cutting forest for increasing agriculture, then we stop agriculture for expanding cities. Okay, so the pattern is that cutting forest, shifting it to agriculture, letting it remain barren for a couple of years, and then expand it for your city. That is urbanization. Now, when we change the surface, the absorption and the reflection pattern changes. Okay, and that is why the earth will absorb more heat when you are having asphalt roads, when you are having concrete structures. Okay, compared to a place which is having more trees, which is having more greenery, right? So climate is affected by the locality and its surrounding. It is affected by the soil moisture. It is affected by the vegetation. It is it is affected by the local wind circulation, and it is affected by the materials which we use for the construction, and of course the pollution. Okay, so when we change the surface, we are changing many things at one go. One, we are changing its albedo, that is absorption and reflection capacity. At the same time, when we change a forest land or an agricultural land to an urban land, then we are also changing the soil moisture, because when we convert it into an RCC road or a bitumen road, we are reducing the penetration capacity of the moisture, water into the soil, and thus the soil moisture, right? When we are cutting trees and planting, using it for agriculture, or when we are changing agricultural land to urban land, again we are affecting the vegetation pattern, and each plant will have a different pattern of retaining moisture around its roots. When we go for high rise buildings within our city, then we are changing the wind circulation, local circulation of the wind. And when the local circulation of the wind changes, again the temperature is affected. Why? Because if there is less circulation, the structures will retain the temperature for a longer time. So you must have observed that in some parts of the city, it takes a very long time after the evening to cool down. Whereas if you are staying in a village or on the outskirts, it cools down relatively faster as compared to the city. Okay. So I will not focus on materials and pollution, because we have been discussing and Ruchi madam has already talked about green buildings. So all this is affecting climate change, and we as individuals are definitely involved in almost everything which I have talked over here. When we talk of change in the locality, when we talk of vegetation, when we talk of pollution, each one of us is responsible for what is happening. Okay. So when we look at the urbanization impacts, then the high heat capacity of the building in urban area, if you compare it to the surrounding rural area, results in more of the sun's energy being absorbed and stored. Okay. So dense development in urban areas actually reduces the wind speeds, which inhibits the cooling by convection, and therefore all this will create a pocket where temperature will be higher than the surrounding areas. Okay. So system will remain the same, that is during daytime the solar radiation will be absorbed by the concrete buildings. They will retain larger amount of the heat, and it will take a much longer time for this heat to get dissipated, which as against urban areas, if you look at the rural areas, the wind circulation is higher, and the materials which they use are relatively less harmful, and therefore the temperature dissipates very easily. Okay, so effectively what happens is that we are creating an urban heat island. Okay, there is a distinct urban rural divide which we are experiencing, right? So temperature difference is usually larger at night than during the day, which is most apparent when the winds are weak. Urban heat island effect is noticed especially in summer and winter, and the main cause of all this is the modification of the land surfaces besides the greenhouse gas emissions, that is the vehicular and other type of pollutions which we are responsible for. Okay, now what happens because of this urban heat island? Because of this urban heat island, the rainfall pattern changes. Okay, it urbanization actually alters the hydrology of the region and results in quicker and higher peak flows, more runoff in a shorter period of time. Okay, so if you look at the graph which I have shown in the slide, before urbanization, that is before there was drastic concreting, if the rainfall pattern was like this, if your hydrograph was like this, I'm assuming that all of you must be aware of what is a hydrograph. Okay, it is a plot of runoff versus time. So you were getting the same quantity of rainfall over a larger period of time. So number of hours, as you can see over here, were much higher. If you can see my arrow moving, cursor moving, then it was spread over a larger period of time. Now the same rainfall nowadays we are getting in a shorter duration of time. So our peak has gone drastically higher, duration has become much shorter. Okay, so all this, now this graph can vary from city to city, but all cities have changed their pattern in some or the other way, and the pattern has definitely become what I have shown in the graph over here. So the more the urbanization, more we will experience the urban heat island effect, and our peaks will become steeper, sharper, and the duration will go on reducing. Okay, and all this we know why, because we are changing the vegetation pattern. That is, vegetation is replaced by buildings and paved streets. So landscape is transformed from a solar sponge to a place which is storing heat and increasing the evaporation rates. Okay, we are changing the wind patterns, and um, depending on the size of the city, this effect will be higher. So in metro cities, we experience much higher effect as compared to the smaller cities. That's why since last couple of years you must have always heard about the flash floods in Mumbai, because it is a very densely urbanized city. Now, besides this, what happens is that the daily temperature range is also impacted, right? What is daily temperature range, or DTR? It is the difference between the daily maximum and the minimum temperature, okay, or the temperature range, and it is a measure of the daily temperature distribution. Now, what we have observed is that while the maximum temperature is increasing for the city over a period of time, the minimum temperature is also increasing. Okay, within the day, this range is shrinking. The daily temperature range is shrinking. Why? Because the rate at, we have all focused only on the maximum temperature, that is rise of 1 degree, 1.5 degree, 2 degree. Okay, so everyone is focused on the maximum temperature, but actually the minimum temperature range has come up very fast, very drastically, and it has come up by 4 to 5 degrees when you compare a 1 degree change in the maximum temperature. So effectively what happens is that your daily temperature range has shrunk, has come down. Okay, now when your daily temperature range changes, what happens is that two parameters come into picture, that is heating degree days and cooling degree days. Okay, now heating degree days and cooling degree days, which term will be applicable to which city will depend on its location. So in case of colder regions, heating degree days will come into picture. In case of warmer regions, cooling degree days will come into picture. So what is a heating degree day? It is the day where you need to provide heat to your building to increase its temperature. Okay, right? Because the surrounding temperature is very cold. And what is cooling degree day? It is the day when you are providing, using energy to cool your building by 1 degree, right? For example, using air conditioners. Okay, so we are consuming energy to cool our uh, day over here in Vadodara or in tropical regions. But in the hilly regions, they will have to experience heating degree days. Okay, now if I talk of the city of Vadodara, then you can see that in the year 1901, the population was very less, and it went drastically uh, by the end of the decade. Now, if you also look at the area, expansion of the area of the Vadodara city, then in 1961, the aerial extent of the city was just 34.42 square kilometer, which at the end of the year 2001 was up to 166, and now it is, with the end of this decade, we have crossed 175 uh, kilometers square. Okay, so while there is an increase of 23% of population in the last 12 years, we saw an expansion of 47% of the higher incomes, because people buy properties for the purpose of investment, and that has actually increased the urbanization to some extent also. Okay, so besides the increase in the population, it is also the financial capacity which has resulted in urbanization. So Vadodara saw exponential increase in the built up area. You can see we actually I have a very dedicated team of research students, and also we have two projects from Government of India for the city of Vadodara funded projects, where we are trying to see the impact on microclimate of Vadodara city. So as you can see that in the year 2000 1981, this is how Vadodara looked. Look at the right hand side top map which I have shown. So the red part shows the built up area. You can see that hardly 20% of the area of the city of Vadodara was urbanized. But if you look at the same area in 2018, then you hardly see any green patches. Whatever green patches are there, those are the publicly maintained gardens, or the MS University, or the Lakshmi Vilas Palace, or the Sayaji Garden, etc. Okay, so each one of us has contributed in this particular change in the built-up area of the Vadodara city. Now that has resulted in the impact on temperature. So our daily temperature range has gone down drastically, which you can see over here. Our annual cooling days have gone up drastically, and we are also experiencing heat waves in summer. Okay. Every year, the Indian Meteorological Department gives us warnings, orange alert, red alert for the temperatures, right? And what we do is we just switch on our air conditioners, so we are increasing our cooling degree days. Now, all this increase in the temperature, if we look at it individually, has resulted in the increased electricity consumption. Okay, now this is so most of you, if you look at the electricity bills of your own residence for the last few decades, it must have definitely doubled. If you look at it for around 10 or 15 years ago, and what you are getting right now, your electricity bill has doubled, definitely doubled, even if you have not added your appliances significantly. Okay, we must have experienced that even lower middle class people are now having air conditioners in their homes, and in fact higher middle class or the upper class people are having more than one air conditioners in their houses. So almost all bedrooms will have air conditioners at many places. Drawing rooms are also air conditioned. Okay, besides that, we are having centrally air conditioned offices and shopping complexes and malls, and all these are big culprits for electricity consumption. Now, let us also understand that when we are increasing our electricity consumption for cooling our houses or cooling our offices or malls, what are we doing? We are throwing this heat out into the atmosphere. Okay, so effectively, we are contributing to the atmospheric heat, and in a way, we are contributing to climate change. So, each one of us who does not temperatures can be managed. We'll come back to that at a later stage of this presentation. We have also established that there is a change in the monsoon. In the last couple of years, rain has played a spoil sport in Navratri. Okay. How many of you had seen rain in Navratri 10 years ago? Very few. In fact, when we were teenagers and when we used to go for Navratri, monsoon used to get over well before Navratri. Okay. So, monsoon has shifted. Initially, onset of monsoon was in the first week of June. Now it has shifted to June end, right? So there is a established shift in the monsoon. It is shifting from June and entering into September. In fact, last to last year in 2019, we had rain up to November. Okay, this is over and above the occasional rains which we experience in December or January, which is again a rare phenomena. Now, rainfall pattern has increased drastically. You can see that the total rainfall has also changed, right? one day extreme rainfall, look at the graph at the bottom, that has gone up drastically. So whatever rainfall we were experiencing in one day, that has now increased uh, in terms of magnitude. And we know the results. Vadodara has now become more prone to severe floods, especially the years 94, 96, 2005, 7, 14, and 19 were the years where we experienced huge floods in almost all parts of the city. Now look at the numbers of the years before 2000 and after 2000. Okay, before 2000, uh, I missed on 84. Please add 84 also. So 84, 94, 96 were the years when we had major floods in city. But look at the last 20 years. In the last 20 years, we have had four major floods already, and every year there are many parts of the city which are also getting flooded. Now, all this has a definite impact on us also. Okay, in terms of our health. So there are several diseases which were unheard of in our childhood and have now become a regular feature uh, for us every year. For example, dengue or chikungunya. Okay, these were not very common. Say 15 years ago, there were some scattered cases of chikungunya or dengue somewhere, right? But now, in monsoon, you must be hearing of so many people, sometimes even entire areas, entire societies having people getting infected with dengue or chikungunya, right? Besides that, many of us are experiencing allergies. We are facing respiratory problems, which is because of the pollution which we are impacting. There are also skin diseases or allergies, fall in hair fall, deterioration in the quality of the skin. All these are also related to climate change and pollution, because when temperature changes, all this will change. The quality of the water will also change. Okay, and you will also have the deaths or mortality or even increase in diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, which we say are lifestyle diseases. Okay, but these are also somewhere related to the atmosphere around us, and our body responds to the change in the climate differently. Each person's body responds to the climate differently. Okay, so with increase in temperature, our body will create some mechanism, and that's where we get some of the diseases. Now, so what we have seen is that each one of us is definitely impacted by climate change, right? And each one of us is also responsible for climate change, right? So somewhere we have to break this cycle. We have to apply brakes to prevent the further consequences, because if this continues the way it is happening right now, then it is not possible for us to reverse it back, right? It is now in an accelerated fifth gear, I will say. Okay, so we have to apply a sudden break in order to bring it back, and it will take a long time and lot of patience and lot of efforts for us to revert it back, right? So each one will have to play a role in that. First you will have to adapt, mitigate, and all this is related to the human activity. So whatever is happening at the global level will have to be mitigated first at the local level, because I said that each city is contributing in climate change. So each city, each person will also have to contribute in its mitigation. So together we will have to put our hands, join our hands, understand, accept, mitigate, and if you can't do anything of these three, then the simplest thing which you can do is spread awareness. Okay, now there are some simple initiatives which all of us know, but many a times we just overlook these initiatives. So Ruchi actually focused on 7 hours, which is very important, but not all of us will be getting involved in those 7 hours. For example, research. Okay, so not all of us can get involved into research, but there are at least 4 hours which every one of us can do, that is reduce, reuse, recycle, whatever is possible, wherever it is possible, and recharge. Okay. Now, this is also one very discussed and known example. Cherrapunji was a place which received around 11,000 mm of rainfall. Okay, but in spite of that, it is suffering from acute shortage of drinking water. So, what does this mean? That uh, it does not matter how much rains at that place, but it matters as to how much you are capturing. Okay, so each liter of water which you are capturing is actually going to help you in uh, reaching out for a demand. Now, I am showing one very simple calculation over here. Let us talk that Vadodara has an average annual rainfall of 1000 mm. I have slightly changed the values for simplicity of the calculation. Okay, and let us say that you have a plot of 1000 square feet. Your house is having a plot size of 1000 square feet, right? Now, with 1000 square feet and 1000 mm of rainfall, you are generating roughly 93,000 liters of water, or 1000 liters of water. Okay, uh, uh, sorry, 1 lakh liters of water, right? So if it is conserved, if all the water which is falling on your plot is conserved, then it is enough for one person for over 2 years, and for two people for almost 1 year, right? Which means that if you are a family of four, and if you conserve all the water, you don't have to depend on the corporation for 50% of the water, right? So even if you take an area, consider an area of only 160 square kilometer, which is of course now much higher, at 50% efficiency, if we store the water, if we recharge the water, then it is enough for us for 40 days. Okay. Now these are the 40 days in summer where we are experiencing acute shortage of water. So even at 50% efficiency, if we go for recharge, we are actually solving our water problem for the city. And if we increase the efficiency, obviously, uh, we will get more water. We will have more water till we get the next monsoon. So we don't have to wait, right? Now, what can each one of us do very easily? So, like Ruchi said, plant trees, right? Wherever possible, however possible, plant trees. So if you are staying in apartments, you can't escape by saying that I don't have space for planting. You can always go for potted plants, and also in that you can go for vertical gardening and multi-layered gardening, etc. So by planting trees, actually, you are helping in mitigating the climate by countering the urban heat island effect. Each tree which you are planting is going to play a role in mitigating the temperature and thus dampen the effect of the urban heat island. Now, another thing, because you are students, I thought that this slide was also necessary to be put into this presentation. We waste a lot of food, okay, and we are not aware of the water footprint, because all that we consume has an indirect consumption of water. Okay, now uh, when we consume 1 cup of tea, we are actually consuming 30 liters of water virtually or indirectly. Why? This will start from the plantation to the harvesting to the packaging to your cup. Okay, so each uh, element of food which we are using is actually consuming some water. So when we waste food, suppose if I am wasting my food, then I am wasting water also along with the food.